Hello, Wastelanders and adventuring types / wanderers of some form. This is the PIPCAST 3000, a bi-weekly podcast where we talk about gaming news, gaming in general, and Fallout, sometimes with a special guest. Not this time. I'm Caedo Genesis. I'm joined by my co-host, BADCompanySarge.
Yes, you are, Caedo.
Oh, and you're Sarge.
I have been told.
And there's plenty of things, newsworthy things, because Gamescom happened, and some new things got shown off, and some other stuff happened in the gaming realm.
I can't believe this keeps happening. Stuff happening.
I know.
I thought it would stop by now.
Oh, man. Well, luckily they are, so we have things to talk about. Besides trying to come up with a topic for like an hour.
Oh god, it did take us an hour.
Which we also did. So, at the start of the podcast, we do a tip of the day and a comment of the cast. Tip of the day is, your enjoyment of a game is not tied to the overall opinion that others have of the game. I think that's where kind of guilty pleasures come from, too. Like, you feel guilty because of other people's thoughts on something that you're doing.
I never feel guilty.
Okay, well, that's a good mindset.
Yeah. Even when I'm stealing things, committing murder, all of that stuff. No guilt whatsoever.
In video games. You gotta say in video games. In Minecraft.
Okay.
In Fallout. Stealing, murdering.
Hey, no one can prove my crimes, therefore I don't need to feel guilty about them.
Yes, about playing the video games.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, well, we had quite a few comments on the last episode.
Oh boy, we did.
I would like it to take a little bit of credit for a good hook that I used for for the title of last episode. And that was, what can Fallout 5 learn from 76? Or what should Fallout 5 learn from 76? And there's a lot of knee-jerk comments from what I noticed. One that even said Fallout is dead, which I didn't even know that.
It sucks. We're out of a job.
I wasn't aware. Yeah, I guess we gotta go get real jobs again. So what was the comment that we actually chose?
Our comment was from Abnormally Lilith, who says, I would absolutely love the camp system. If the settlement building from 4 were to return, I think camp is a great evolution of that system that allows for more dev-created settlement and less unnamed settlers.
Yes.
Which stood out as a comment about the topic that clearly was from a viewer who listened to the discussion, and you're great, Abnormally Lilith. I truly appreciate people who watch the content and comment about it. It's a low bar, but you leapt over that bar with grace, style, and badassery.
Maybe that could be an extra tip of the day. Don't respond to just the headline.
Yeah, but the only people who hear the tip of the day are people who listen for like more than a minute.
Yeah, Lilith, I appreciate you for your comment.
Yes.
There was quite a few other good ones too. Not just. It's the most comments we've gotten on a PIPCAST for a while, I think.
Oh yeah.
Which I like. Most engagement. It's all engagement, but
it is.
The quality can be very different.
This was the top.
Yes. So what else has been going on in the gaming world realm place?
There has been so much going on, and for our blind viewers, I will let you all know what we're about to talk about that you cannot read on screen. We got stuff to talk about. Deathloop, a big member of Bethesda Game Studios leaving. Some stuff that we'll get into, which I'm not even going to say at the start. I put in an article about Kojima just for Caedo. The rest of you can skip that if you want. It's just going to be Caedo being happy for a while. Who needs that in their life? Come on.
only happy for a while, not the whole thing.
We got No Man's Sky got an update, so I figure we should actually talk about it because there's a lot going on with it. CD Projekt Red hiring game modders. Yeah. Starfield, we have location insights to take a look at. There's a new Marvel game being previewed Fallout 76 has another season. And then for the Fallout topic, we're going to talk about which Fallout game is the most content-rich.
Oh.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I'm gonna work hard on the hook / title of this one, the headline of this one.
Let's face it, if you want the most views, it's just going to be something like 76 has more content than New Vegas.
Is 76 the most content-rich Fallout, or
no? Get 76 and New Vegas in the title. Those two, when you combine them together, that's when the views come in.
Is 76 more content-rich than New Vegas?
Or
I think that'll fit.
Best way to do it, 76 greater than symbol NV. Entire title right there. 1 million views, guaranteed. 90% hate clicks.
I get so many people angry for not reading or listening. So what's this about Deathloop? Before we get to the thing.
Yes, Deathloop is a game by Arcane Leon. It is like Dishonored, but not. And it's launching on the 14th, so less than 10 days away now. And some people talked about it. And I didn't listen because I've already decided that I won't be getting Deathloop, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah, because it's going to be on the Bethesda launcher as well as PlayStation.
Yeah, it's a console exclusive for PlayStation.
Yes.
I mean, I'm on PC, so I could buy it on PC, but it's not close enough to the games that I generally cover and have people show up for me to be able to justify it as a channel purchase. And even though I like the look of it, it's not something I know for certain I will enjoy. And if I don't have content that I can make about it, then I can't just buy it.
Yeah. Sarge is a picky gamer.
Sarge also does not have tons of disposable income.
That too.
So it's I'd love to play it, but I'm gonna have to wait until it goes on a really hefty sale. I hope that it's good. Did you listen to this 25-minute conversation that's on Bethesda's YouTube channel about it, Caedo?
No.
Oh, so neither of us listened to it, huh?
But I did listen to some other people talk about their demo of the game and stuff like that. And conceptually, Deathloop is very simple.
Yeah.
You're reliving the same loop over and over and over. You have 8 targets you're supposed to take down within a single loop. And each one, you're learning more and more about how to combine your takedowns so you can take them out in the short amount of time that you get.
Yeah.
And you can play as the dude who's trying to stop the loop, or the lady who's trying to keep the loop going.
Yeah.
Again, real simple conceptually to talk about, and it was the next evolution of the Mooncrash DLC from Prey. But I'm still strongly believing that Mooncrash was a prototype for this game. Because they're so similar. Because you're replaying stories of multiple characters and getting the whole story as you play through each of their arcs.
Yeah.
And the Mooncrash DLC, you're supposed to in one run escape with all of the characters you play as in one go. So it's very similar.
Yeah. I have a feeling Deathloop is going to be one of those games that kind of gets quite critically well received, and the people who do really get into it are like, oh yeah, it's such an amazing game, but isn't going to be one that is played for that much time. It's just, I have a feeling it'll be very much just I like the BioShock games, where people do a playthrough of it and we're like, oh, that's amazing, you all should play it, and I am never going to play it again, but you should definitely play it.
That's the I think that's one of the quirks of Arcane games specifically too, because they are that kind of game. You can still one and done it and be good for a while. Same with the Wolfenstein games. They're really good, but there's not really too much to do after you follow this awesome linear story.
Yeah, it's like, do you want to play
As a
on
character.
a harder difficulty?
Yeah.
What about that, huh? It'll be the same game, but more challenging.
Yeah. And then you have games like Rage 2 that do, you know, one aspect really, really well, but once you're bored with that aspect, then you're kind of gonna move on.
Yeah.
Imagine that. It's hard to add, you know, playtime to a game when it's got a certain structure to it.
Yeah. Very difficult to make it content rich.
Yes. I'm glad you're picking up what I was laying down. Well, that's one of the things that is going on with Bethesda, but we also learned that one of the big names in Bethesda Game Studios is leaving, or has left.
Yes, has left now, I believe.
Yeah.
Judging by the tweet and their description.
Jeff Gardiner, he tweeted, my time at BGS has come to an end. It has been an amazing ride from producing the designers on Oblivion, Fallout 3, and Skyrim to lead producer of Fallout 4 and finally project lead of 76. So he's had a hand in games in the Bethesda collections since Oblivion.
Yeah.
Which was ages ago at this point. He says, I will miss my coworkers and want to thank the amazing fans. Stay tuned. Oh, interesting. BADCompanySarge replied saying, thanks for all your hard work.
Yes. I literally only see 3 replies, which is myself, Vault of Daedalus, and the Elder memes.
Oh, there's so many too. There's Vault of Daedalus, Nicaroo. We've had him on the podcast before. Mr. Matty Plays, Lone Vault Wanderer, Kev Do It. Basically all of the YouTubers. I have to reply to it now too.
Yeah. See, I'm very limited on who I follow on Twitter, so it's only myself, Vault of Daedalus, and the Elder memes. Rest of you, if you want me to follow you on Twitter, stop tweeting better? I don't know.
Yeah, so he was the project lead for Fallout 76, so I wonder who's taking up that mantle.
I don't know. Like, I've not seen anything announced for it. Yeah, but that's all I can really say. We don't have the information.
So I wish Jeff all the best. The amount of time he had spent in Bethesda Game Studios is very impressive.
Yeah. I will say as well, I was already following Jeff on Twitter, specifically because, especially in the early days of 76, during like all of the interviews and stuff, he appeared to be always kind of like the most open about the game. And while a lot of other people were very clearly going and steering more towards the this is what we're supposed to say kind of thing, he always seemed to be a bit more just naturally talking about the game that he was working on. And it was nice to see. And he was always very like, yes, here's the things we've not done so well, here's what we're hoping to do. He seemed very realistic about everything, and it was very nice to see.
Somebody being more direct than other people that get interviewed sometimes.
Yeah. Well, we've all seen the interviews where it's like, okay, you've basically got a script of what you're supposed to say. And it often felt like that during a lot of the Bethesda interviews. It wasn't like, these people are saying exactly a scripted thing, but they're clearly trying to get the reply to fit in with the stuff to talk about. Whereas Jeff seemed to just be happy to talk about the game more openly and honestly.
Yeah.
Which is what you want when you're listening to the interview. You want to actually hear what the people working on the game think and how they're reacting to stuff and what's going forward. You don't want just the announcement. You can get that outside of an interview. So that was always nice to see.
There's something else that's nice to see that helps against people that are, want to be a problem.
Yeah.
And it's Streamlabs introducing safe mode as a response to hate raids on Twitch.
Yes.
Hate raids have become somewhat more popular for some reason on Twitch. I noticed that it was particularly targeting people in the LGBT community, like having the LGBT tag in there.
Yeah.
In their stream or in their Twitch. And instead of waiting for Twitch to do something about it, also these hate raids are like just they could be like hundreds or thousands of bots just directed at someone's chat, so it just like blows it up basically. Saying all manner of disgusting things, and grinding it to a halt. But Streamlabs, instead of Twitch, has released a feature to combat the hate raids, which is nice.
That's very nice.
Glad somebody with some power is doing something about it.
Oh yeah. I wish this was on YouTube as well as Twitch in some way, but I understand why it's Twitch, because it's specifically for the raid function. But yeah, this feature, yes, if the users have Streamlabs CloudBot feature enabled, Safe Mode will also put chat in emote-only mode, follower-only mode, and sub-only mode, disable chat alerts for followers, and clear chat history. So it's basically like, oh, everything's going terrible, hit the panic button, get rid of all that bad stuff, just put some emotes on for a while. Only people who have been following for, I can't remember, there was somewhere where, I'm not even sure if it's in this article, but I remember reading, it might actually be from one of the streamers who had a hate raid and, like, used this, I think, that I follow, was tweeting out about, like, oh yeah, it's only if someone's been following for more than a day, or there's, like, a bunch of different things going on with it that just make it really quite good. And
that's good.
Do a good job of stopping the problem of terrible people just spamming and making the content worse. Which is something I know a lot of streamers aren't a fan of. Kind of sucks when that happens.
Yes, it really does. I wish this realm of the internet was sometimes better.
Yes.
To itself, or to each other. But good thing Streamlabs is doing that. Props to them for making some tools to deal with it.
I know Twitch is trying to do some stuff, but it's not really getting much actual results. There was recently the whole a day off Twitch thing, where a bunch of people boycotted Twitch to kind of let them know, hey, you actually need to do more stuff to stop all the hate that keeps happening on the platform.
Yeah.
I feel like it should just be... It's going to seem kind of simple, but I feel like there should just be a bunch of words and phrases that just auto-ban people. Auto-IP ban people. That's what I'd like. As someone who's had, like, the YouTube equivalent of hate raids and stuff, it's very frustrating for the streamer and for the mods to deal with it. And to deal with a lot of terrible, terrible stuff that's said by genuinely bad people. And it's like, well, why do I just get rid of this person and then they return on a different account? No, just, come on, get rid of them.
Yeah. I think part of it is that I don't think that IP bans are as effective as they used to be.
Yeah.
Thanks to ways to just switch up your IP in many different ways.
They may not be as effective, but they at least have, like, some impact to them. It takes a bit more than just switching to your second account. And
yeah, but if it's just a bunch of bot accounts, though, like, it's hard. And good to have support on dealing with it. So should I talk about the thing that you...
Yes, I'm literally holding my tongue on say any nasty stuff. So instead, let's go on to the nice stuff.
Sarge, why do you want to say nasty stuff?
I take it you weren't in the stream where I had some very strong language during a hate raid. Yeah,
no.
I said stuff that I am definitely not allowed to repeat. I do not like people who were bad and definitely were the villains like 70, 80 years ago, is my coded way of saying that. And the fact that they're still around is something I'm not a fan of and would like to stop.
Yes. I fully agree and understand.
Okay. Let's talk about Kojima, or more appropriately, let's listen to Caedo talk about Kojima.
Sarge was so pleasant to share this PC Gamer article that's titled Kojima wanted to make a game with Mads Mikkelson and called Mads Max. And I think that would have been hilarious and awesome. So Kojima is the amazing if you've been living under a rock, he is the amazing self-indulgent director of Metal Gear Solid as well as Death Stranding.
I like how the way you phrased that is obviously meaning like, oh, if you've been living under a rock, you don't know about him. But I like to interpret it as, if you've been living under a rock, he's amazing. How like that's a qualifier for Kojima to be great, is you must live under a rock to fully understand the greatness of his games.
Yes, you must hide under a rock and play all of his games.
Yep.
Watch all of his commentary and interviews. So he had a number of ideas. He tweeted about this story being a little I don't know, thoughtful about the things that didn't quite become a project.
Yeah.
Just different ideas. He said in his official Twitter that he has a number of ideas and wanted to create with Mads Mikkelson as the main character. He said, I once explained one of them to Mads. He listened intently, but when I told him the title, he broke his face.
No. I hate when my face just breaks.
He seemed to think I was joking. I was serious, though. The tentative title was Mads Max. And I think this is pretty great because he's always had weird naming conventions for his characters as well in different games.
Yeah.
The examples they use in this article are from Death Stranding: Die Hardman, Deadman, and Heartman. Those are all characters in Death Stranding. So is Fragile. Like,
you got Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5, who doesn't speak.
Yep. Got Quiet. Revolver Ocelot, who turned into Liquid Ocelot. Yeah. All the boss names are very interesting too. Like in Metal Gear Solid 3, you had the emotions that were brought into battle, like that's what they were named after. So you had the boss, the pain, the fear, the fury, the sorrow, the end.
The end I'm familiar with.
He's one of the most iconic bosses, I think. Because
I mean, there's not many bosses you can just wait out.
You can't just wait for him to die of old age. He put that in his game. What other game does that? Tell me another game that does that.
I feel like Kojima games are best viewed through the medium of, oh, hey, here's cool things that happened in these games of the past. Because there's always cool stuff in them. They're never the type of games I'm actually like, oh man, I've got to play this. It's more like, in a few years I'll hear something interesting about that and go,
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Or like the iconic Psycho Mantis reading your memory card thing.
Yeah. I don't think I ever got past the first mission of Metal Gear Solid.
That's okay.
I did really well at the special missions, the second disc thing for it though.
Oh yeah, the VR missions thing. Yeah.
I was great at that. For some reason, terrible at opening mission. I think just trying to get to the elevator, if I recall it correctly. Yeah, I don't know if I ever made it to the elevator.
It's a bit of a struggle. I think that's when they had like PlayStation demo discs. That was the sequence that you'd be able to play.
Yeah, I should have just had the demo disc. Didn't need the full game.
Yeah. Anyway, Kojima's got some fun ideas for all kinds of stuff. Now that Death Stranding Director's Cut is coming out, I'm pretty sure that's going to be the finished version of the game, or the final version of the game.
This year.
This year.
Next year there'll be another final version of the game.
Yeah, well,
Director's Cut Extended.
Oh my god.
Director's Cut Extended Alpha.
Director's Special Edition Anniversary.
Oh.
Bethesda. Keep re-releasing Skyrim, we'll keep buying it. That's how it works. That's the deal. Anyway, a game that continues to get updates, not re-releases, is No Man's Sky.
Yes. And the latest update, Frontiers, is adding Space Town.
What?
Yep. The quote is that it will add living, breathing, Mos Eisley type settlements.
Ooh. That's from a Star Wars.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a more wretched hive of scum and villainy?
No.
I have. Many times.
Oh. Oh.
I live in Hastings, man.
Oh.
That's a joke that probably no one who's listening at this point will appreciate.
What else? What else is happening?
There's more stuff in the update? What? No.
Update.
No.
What else?
I mean, the town is the big thing. It's just, towns with NPCs and the tasks, and it's, like, actual settlements. It's, cool. The towns grow. Citizens head there. It sounds much... God, I hate this. Much more like what you'd expect from a traditional single-player RPG. If you think of that kind of a thing, it sounds like the towns will kind of accommodate that somewhat.
Wow.
I will say, looking at the image in this article, I'm reminded so much of Edgewater from the Outer Worlds. Okay. Visually, very kind of similar themes going on there. But yeah, it just looks cool, and there's a lot of stuff that's been added to the game since it launched as hop from planet to planet and just getting resources and nothing happens. It's now a big old game that people love.
Yeah. The promise was delivered and then some, I think.
Yeah.
I think it just took a while. It took a long while.
It just takes several years to get to the point it needs to get to.
Yeah.
And now it's on Game Pass, so we can play it.
Now the positive words and thoughts are outweighing the hatred.
Yeah.
It just takes a few years, Bethesda.
Yeah. hey, I mean, honestly, I think 76 at its point now is kind of at a acceptable level, and if it keeps improving, it'll eventually be good. And I'm sure that it won't continue to receive tons of criticism based off of hyperbole around what it was like at launch from people who didn't play it. I'm sure that will entirely stop, and it'll all be fine.
Yep, sure. It will.
Although, knowing what fans are like, always saying stuff like, "Oh, the modders fix the games."
There it is. I was waiting for it.
I hadn't checked what the next topic was yet. Hey everyone, you know how modders fix games and game devs are all idiots who don't know what they're doing and only the modders understand? Mm-hmm. Well, CD Projekt Red agrees with you.
Yep.
Because they are hiring some of their community mod makers to work on Cyberpunk.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Woven Kit? Creators of the Woven Kit modding tool set. Okay.
Yes, have been hired.
Blumster, Night Maria, Arfuzzo, and who's Hembalco, Trader Rain, Bents. Oh my god. So many names. Hembalco, Trade Rain, Bents is one person's name.
Yeah.
The one who's talking about their team. So this is cool and not unheard of in the games industry when mod authors go out of their way to improve something at another level, or create something close to brand new with the modding tools they're given. Developers take notice, and publishers may take notice too. Maybe more developers, I think. And I think this is a good thing. I think, especially mod authors that are putting that much effort into something I feel like that would be like a dream scenario for a lot of people. Yeah. It's like, if you're focused on this one thing and doing it, for this product by this particular developer, they take notice of you and hire you based on that. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So I think your segue is it was facetious, right?
Yes.
Need to make sure that the listeners know about that. The whole modders fixing your game thing is really just tired and kind of dumb. Because up until this kind of situation where they do get hired by a developer, mod authors have an unlimited time frame.
Yeah.
I feel like that's really important to know. And they have an unlimited time frame, and they're only focused on a few things at once, whereas, you know, studios that develop games are focused on the entirety of the project.
Yeah. They're also working on something that has already been made, rather than creating an entirely new thing themselves.
Yeah. Except for the Woven kit in this case.
Yeah.
I should probably...
That's a modding toolset they made. So these people have made some of their own stuff with which to make stuff for a game that already exists.
Yeah.
It's
and what
also
they're doing is... What? Huh?
I was going to say, it's also worth pointing out that we don't know exactly what these people are doing.
Well, it says right here.
Working on various projects related to the Cyberpunk 2077 backend and the game's modding support.
We are working on with the Ubisoft on the development of Cyberpunk 2077 modding tools.
They've already got the modding tools.
But, like, official ones.
But then it later says... See, you haven't read the full article here, Caedo. I've got to find the actual quote. Yeah, Baron clarified on Discord that Woven Kit is not being officially adopted by CD Projekt Red.
No.
And Ubisoft's work at the studio is completely independent of the work that has been done by the community. So it's being this weird hybrid point.
They're developing their own for Cyberpunk with the help of modders. That's what I'm gaining from this.
Potentially. See, I don't like to read into things because I can never be wrong.
There.
There's some level of interpretation that can go along with this, and I am not allowed to ever say anything incorrect. So, okay. I will have to go with the statement of, we don't know exactly what they're doing. And I'm not confident enough to say that they're definitely doing the thing which Caedo thinks they're doing.
But it's quoted. CD Projekt confirmed the higher end of statement sent to PC Gamer. We are working with Ubisoft on the development of Cyberpunk 2077 modding tools.
Yes.
The modding community has always been important to us, and we are happy to be working with them side by side on further expanding the tools which are available to modders. They're literally working on the tools. That's what the quote says.
They're working on the tools. That part I can agree on.
Yes. But that's all we know.
Yes.
Which is the part I agree on.
Phrased it slightly differently.
Yeah.
I'll be having that.
Oh no!
I can't be incorrect on technicality. You do, Caedo, you do realise that I'm a non-human being whose life force is sustained by never being wrong.
I know.
Come
you're
on,
always
you know
right.
this. I can't say something which could technically be incorrect, or else my arm evaporates. I've only got two of them.
Okay, I'll give you some correct fuel in the next topic, maybe. Another sci-fi property that we're excited to see more from, right? Because Cyberpunk's exciting all the time. Is Starfield. Starfield has had a lot of stuff. More than most of us expected shown off so far.
Yeah. I mean, we've already had all the little announcement and teaser trailers and stuff. But the latest thing we've got are location insights. In these less than a minute videos, we get to see some kind of like animated concept art of 3 of the new locations: New Atlantis, Neon, and Aquila, which is like a town based on freedom, a pleasure dome, and I forgot what the other one was. It's cool though, I swear.
It does look cool.
Oh, it's like the capital. The other one's the capital. New Atlantis is like the big capital that's like, yeah, this is the head of civilization. Everyone gets along so well. Look at us all being together here in big mega city 1. I mean, New Atlantis.
Yeah.
It's your standard sci-fi city by the looks of it. But yeah, this is cool.
Yeah. It's nice that they're primarily showing off concept stuff where they don't have to put in too much more work than they already are for this promotion. Like, well, we can go back and use Cyberpunk as an example. Their vertical slice that only had 50-ish% of that in the game.
Yeah. when people start making stuff for their game just for the trailer, and then are like, yeah, we'll have it properly in the game later, that's when problems can arise.
Yeah.
What we've got here is literally just someone's animated some drawings.
Did you want to remind people what your primary disappointment was from the trailer to the final game?
I pre-ordered the game when there was wall running. I was like, yep, you know what? I was already interested in this. That's enough. I'll cover it on the channel. I love me wall running. I'm a big Titanfall fan. It's one of the few first-person shooters I was really good at the time. I was like, hell yeah, wall running. No wall running included.
Such a bummer. Anyway, yeah, so seeing concept art instead of, fully 3D rendered nonsense that you probably won't be able to do. Yeah, it's nice. And getting some context.
Yeah. You get a bit of background lore about these locations. The Pleasure Dome place, for example, was initially a fishing village, basically, where they were going to just sell the fish, but then they realized they could extract a drug from the fish, which makes you go, ooh!
Oh,
so
yeah, the neon place, yeah.
Yeah, neon, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's only legal in that one place as well, so people all come over from different planets or whatever and head over there and get high.
Yeah.
It's a cool little thing.
It's a very open world thing to do in video games, is go to a place where there's drugs and do all of them. And just see what happens. It's a very, very interesting trope, actually, for open world games. Are there drugs in your game? Yeah, it's an open world. Slap that mature rating on it.
I mean, if you're already getting the mature rating for violence and stuff, as well. It's like how horror movies were just oh wait, we're already getting the top rating for all of this stuff. Well, why doesn't everyone just take their clothes off then? Come on. It doesn't change rating. Let's do it.
I don't know, but it would probably change based on location too, because different countries have different rules. I mean, and laws.
Generally with horror though, it's at the point where it's already at the high age ratings, which is why there's topless people always in horror. Because I don't know if there's any countries which are yes, you can tear someone apart limb from limb viciously, but a nipple? No, that's going to bump up a rating beyond that.
Unacceptable! Oh well, ratings are weird.
Yeah. Back to Starfield though, I am now excited about the game. I've officially now gone from let's wait and see to I'm looking forward to see more of this.
Yes. And let's hope that hype train doesn't get too hyped.
Yeah. I just hope the game is good, very replayable, keeps my job for several years. That's all I'm looking for.
I hope this game is good.
Yeah. It just needs to be good, replayable, let me make build videos, let me make essay videos, let me stream it. It just needs to do all of that stuff and on its own be able to sustain me until the next Elder Scrolls comes out. It's all I want from the game. How hard is that?
Yeah. Maybe a little content richness.
Oh, we're not at the topic yet.
You
know a game that's not content rich and which everyone thinks is gonna suck? It's Midnight Sun.
Midnight Suns?
Wait.
GameSpot titled it wrong in their video.
Yeah,
and it was kind of funny.
Titled it Midnight Sun. And I don't care enough about the game to actually check. Apparently it's called Midnight Suns.
Yes.
Well, yeah, 100% is, even right at the end.
Yeah.
It quite clearly says Midnight Suns.
Yeah, it says in the thumbnail and in the freaking game preview thing that you select when you upload a video.
Visit midnightsuns.com at Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns. Marvel's Midnight Suns. Marvel's Midnight Sun gameplay overview trailer.
Hashtag Marvel Midnight Suns.
And... Wait, they got the hashtag right, but their description they've got it just as... Oh my god, in the description they've got... Learn more about how Marvel's Midnight Sun gameplay work through this gameplay overview trailer, get insight into who the Midnight Suns are.
It's the same paragraph.
It's one sentence. And not only that, they're like on top of each other on my display. It just says Midnight Sun and Midnight Suns, one on top of the other. GameSpot, what you doing? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we don't know what GameSpot's doing, but we do know what Firaxis has been doing. Because a lot of us have been waiting for XCOM 3. Because XCOM is amazing. But instead, they got a little handle on the Marvel license to make a turn-based strategy Marvel game where not only can you play on a strategy layer with iconic Marvel characters, but you can also, I think what they're saying for the first time, you can create your own Marvel hero, like in this universe, which I don't know how true that is, but it sounds good. Like, create and customize your own.
I mean, sure, if you want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's already so many Marvel heroes.
Yeah, there are. And, you know, people like to have customization choices, especially if it's a Firaxis game. You need that. You need some form of customization. Like, that's part of what makes them so much fun. But the one you customize, obviously, is the main character of the story, kind of like the commander that you play as, like, that drives the narrative forward. But instead, like, actual person that you see in the cutscenes and interacts with each of the heroes and stuff like that. So I'm not usually this, like, hyped for anything Marvel game related because, you know, Avengers and stuff like that. Proven in the past that it's pretty hit and miss. Like, the Spider-Man game was great and amazing. But then you got Marvel's Avengers on the other end of the spectrum where it's just like, why are microtransactions all over the place?
I will say the reaction from GameSpot audience is certainly not as positive as Caedo is.
No.
It's like a 70% like to dislike ratio, which isn't terrible, but is enough to be like, oh. I'm gauging it based on whatever reactions are to Firaxis, which is the positive, and the reactions to a Marvel game. Well,
so it's
from
like
the
it's
comments,
like
the big thing seems to be, it's a mobile card game. It's got cards in it.
Yeah, I was about to get to that part actually. So the main thing that concerned me with this game is the card action system that they're going to have for their turn-based combat. These are actions that the particular character you're controlling will be doing, but that makes me worry that there will be some form of game-altering microtransactions because of this style of gameplay. And if that's the case, this game's probably not going to do very well. Yeah. Or it's going to do frighteningly well because of Marvel fans. It's like a no-win thing.
I mean,
but I just know that I do like what Firaxis makes. I don't like what corporate sometimes does with Firaxis games, because it has been done in the past, like in Civilization, for example. They don't let you, when you're choosing some of the DLC civilizations, and they are like separate gameplay altering type things, you have to purchase some of the civilizations separately or as a season pass type thing, which is unacceptable in my mind, because I also don't know what else would be DLC for a game like that. I don't know. Now I'm just kind of rambling. I know Firaxis can make good games. I also know that they put really bad microtransactions in them sometimes.
Yeah.
That's basically it. So, like, I want to play something by the XCOM team, because XCOM is amazing. and didn't, as far as I know, didn't have microtransactions at all. It just had DLC.
That would be why they're not making more of them.
It has an incredible modding community. Maybe they should hire some modders. They probably already did, actually, because Long War was like a huge thing. Still is a huge thing. Long War is like the main hardcore mod for XCOM 1 and 2.
Yeah, well, we'll find out more about this game in March when it's released.
Speaking of getting hardcore, it's time to dust off your scorecard, because it's a new season in Fallout 76.
Oh, I'm sorry, Valheim. You weren't worthy of being the next topic.
No.
I didn't even realize Caedo... That stuff was happening with Valheim. Caedo deleted it.
Because I shared it last time, I think.
Everyone, we're not talking about Valheim, okay? I know all of you were waiting, just waiting for Valheim talk to start, but no.
It's not even going to be on screen.
This isn't a Valheim channel.
All right,
not happening. Not happening. I genuinely did not see you delete it from the thing, so I was so confused by the segue.
You had the tab up still?
I had the tab. I was replaying the advert. I was like, well, what? How is this? And obviously I don't play Valheim, so I was like, maybe I just don't understand. It took me a minute. I was confused.
Yeah.
But instead, we'll talk about a game that everyone loves and wants us to talk about. Fallout. The Fallout game. You know, the one. And therefore it is indicative of everything Fallout going forward.
Yes.
So there is a new season of Fallout 76. What does that mean? More stuff to unlock by doing tasks every day.
Yay.
Woo.
Do chores.
Yeah, I don't think I played through any of the last season, because I've stopped caring. The seasons are kind of a thing where if you're playing already, it's great, you're getting all of these extra rewards, but it's never really enough to justify going in and playing just to unlock a reward that's beneficial if you play the game a lot. It's like, cool. There are a few cool things in this reward system. Where was it? Rank 30-something, I think? No, 40-something. Oh, rank 50.
Yeah, Maul.
Ally. Yeah, Maul. Who appears to be a super mutant who's got, like, the Grognak headband. And says, Maul will serve you meat while he hunts for a fabled hero.
Yeah.
So, for those who don't know, allies are kind of like companions who only stick at your home base.
Yes. You can only have one active at a time, and sometimes, or some of them have daily quests, others can serve as one-way merchants, or the Brotherhood Doctor is the one I had at my camp for a while. He just, he heals you. Does doctor things. I
had astronaut girlfriend or previous raider barman.
Yeah. Astronaut girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah, that's basically what she is. Comic book nerd, astronaut girlfriend.
Yeah. Those are the two I used at my camp. This time you have like a super mutant. Isn't that nice? There's also all of the generic rewards. A bunch of outfits relating to like the what they called the Unstoppables? Yeah, the Unstoppables.
Unstoppables, yeah.
And a little bit of stuff with the Diabolicals, who are their enemies. But the best reward by far is at rank 98.
Yep, I knew it.
Yeah, the Fetch Collectron, which is a robot dog.
A robot dog.
Yep, who collects scrap for you. Mm-hmm. And, quote, is programmed to always be happy to see you.
Oh my god.
As we know, everyone on this podcast loves dogs and would never say anything bad about them.
Everybody on the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
We all agree that this is the best reward, and the only reason I was going to add something to that sentence, but no. Everything in life is about dogs and how great they are.
Yep,
I've decided.
That's how it is. Sure. I heard somewhere that Fallout 4's dog meat sucks.
Yeah, that was just an idiot who didn't know what they were talking about. I wouldn't advise paying any attention to it.
Watch my 10 worst NPCs in Fallout.
Don't! Watch my video about what happens when you don't eat dog meat. It's the only dog meat video I've got.
You gotta make a counter video now.
10 Reasons Why Dog Meat is the best doggo.
In Fallout 3, maybe.
No, just in general.
No.
All 10 reasons will be
I don't know. I wish you.
Yeah.
Freaking dog.
I could literally,
Anyway.
I mean, I've already done a top 10 about how cannibals the worst perk in Fallout. I could literally do one which is just, Number 9, you want some belly scratches? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Number 8, oh, it's a good boy. I could do it.
You can make that like a YouTube short or something.
Oh, God. I don't know how to make shorts.
You just gotta, I don't know, render it out in vertical video because it's stupid and garbage.
Yeah,
I know.
I don't think so. So, final thing about Fallout 76 is there is a new community calendar.
Oh!
Where I get to learn about some stuff that's happening.
Yes.
And September 8th, which is a few days away, Fallout Worlds update. We'll actually get to see what that's like, where people get to like create their own worlds and change things with it and all of that kind of stuff. Plus, Daily Ops expansion too. Some more stuff happening with Daily Ops. Like, actually something kind of interesting to see.
Yeah. That's good stuff.
In October, there's a bunch of the generic stuff that always happens, like, script stuff, double score, blah, 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 blah. There's also a Spooky Scorch seasonal event, which I'm guessing is going to be just like the Christmas one, but they've got pumpkins on their heads, rather than Santa Claus outfits. October 23rd is Bombs Drop Day, which has happened before, and I remember being excited for it, and I can't remember what it's actually like. Like, I don't remember what happens on Bombs Drop Day, so I'm guessing it's nothing to get too excited about.
Okay.
Oh, it's when nukes go off randomly, I think.
Oh, fun.
I think it's that one. In November, we've got the 3-year anniversary on the 14th, which is going to be exactly 3 days after Skyrim Anniversary Edition.
Oh.
So it's like, should I make a video about it? Might be busy with Skyrim.
Maybe.
Also, Starfield launches on the 11th as well of November next year.
Next year.
So it's going to have the same anniversary as Skyrim. Because Bethesda launches their same game, all their games on the same week. I've decided that they just want us all to... There's going to be Bethesda Day. They just clearly want to make the day Bethesda Day. But yeah. Then in December as well, the Holiday Scorch are happening, where Scorch dresses up as Santa, and you can get gifts off of them. It's a nice little thing. It's fine. One thing I'm not looking forward to in December, 4-star legendaries being added. Currently, legendaries go up to 3 stars. Now they'll go up to 4 stars. I am certain that the community at large is going to be super excited for this and going to love it while it's coming out and stuff. And that I am the only person, the only one, who's against it.
It's like an MMO expansion.
Ah.
My numbers don't meet the numbers requirement anymore. I need to redo all my numbers.
Yep. I need to re-roll every single piece of equipment to get
Look
that
at you,
4
World of
star.
Warcraft. I hate you.
I have a feeling 4 stars will make it so that it's the point that any, like, 4-star enemy, I guess, has, like, a 1 in over a million chance of dropping the item you want. Which'll, be fun.
Yeah. At least we have, legendary crafting. Wonder how that's gonna work. It's gonna be even more expensive to do.
Yeah, it's just going to be more expensive and still give you random results each time. Come on.
Oh, it's terrible. Need more reason to do the grind if you've been playing the game for so long and you're doing the same thing. Not just rewards at this point. It's got to be actual different events and stuff. So I guess the seasonal events are one thing, but I'm hoping for something more like in the game that just happened.
Yeah, I mean, the Daily
Year
Ops
long?
expansion will be some actual, like, nice content. Because the Daily Ops are, like, a solid thing to just kind of do.
Yeah, and the expeditions, when are those coming?
Next year.
Okay, we got a while then.
Early next year, I think, but still next year.
That's the next major thing, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure what story stuff is actually going to happen after that. I don't think it's been, like, revealed at this point, has it? Because we've had all the Brotherhood storyline now.
Yeah, I don't know. Might be Enclave, might be...
Oh, God. It's gonna be the Enclave, isn't it? Oh, they've milked the Brotherhood, now they'll milk the Enclave. Oh, no.
Could be something mutant related, maybe, but then
the
Brotherhood were
thing.
fighting the mutants. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be another Scorch thing.
That would at least be somewhat interesting. I really don't like how everything's like Brotherhood or Enclave. Especially how the fans, quite often, of one faction or the other are like, oh man, why do they keep doing Brotherhood stuff? Why don't they do more Enclave stuff? You know, the super underdeveloped faction, the Enclave, which has only been in the majority of the games.
Yeah.
Oh, we definitely need to know more about them. Screw any of the new factions, they're all dead. Let's bring the Enclave back.
Just do another Robot Overlord. Happen. We can do that again, too.
Oh, yep. Oh, it could be President Adam and President Eve working together.
And they're all supercomputers and vaults.
I'm sure there's plenty more content to come in Fallout 76. But will that make it the most content-rich game?
I see what you did.
Yeah. Let's just say yes and skip over the entire topic. Just be like, yeah, it will be. Topic over.
Yeah.
Screw everyone who was waiting.
Podcast over. 76 is the most content rich. Bye.
Yep. No justification needed. Just an opinion.
That should be episode 69. We should do some sort of cutoff like that.
Actually, yeah. For people who don't know, episode 69 is coming in 2 weeks' time. Get it? And, well, we could do with, like, suggestions for how to make it as nice as possible.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be nice.
It needs to be very nice.
Let us know in your comments, and I will remind Caedo to check the held for review section.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Actual topic, though. Which Fallout game is the most content-rich? And what do we mean by that, Caedo?
Oh, no, you're asking me.
Yeah. I've already got an idea of what I think it means, but I want to see what you think.
I think it's whatever game has the most diverse characters and factions and choices.
What? Wait, that's your definition of it?
And has the most replayability.
Okay, that's...
Which are... like, half of those are super subjective.
Yeah, I would have said, like, a more literal definition is what game has... It's actually difficult to describe because I was about to describe it using word, but content. But which game literally has the most stuff packed into it? As in, like, number of factions, locations, quests, characters, all of that kind of stuff. Because it's the most content-rich as opposed to best content experience. Because we talked about, like, earlier how Deathloop will be great, but probably quite a short game, because it's going to be quite a tightly packed thing. It's not going to have hundreds of locations. Whereas a open world game, like a lot of the Fallouts or the Borderlands series, it's got tons of different locations, but they're not all as tightly packed.
Yeah.
And I think the content richness really comes from what has the most stuff, essentially. I'd also put a qualifier on that when it comes to things like Radiant quests, that they're kind of included once. Otherwise, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76 instantly just, like, shoot to the top with no one else having a chance. Like, to an unfair degree. I do think the Radiant quest should still be, like, a factor in it, but if you're looking at it in a case of... Actually, that's a good way to do it. Okay, I think a good way to look at it is, if in a playthrough you were to do everything possible in the game, what would have the most to do? And this is also a theoretical playthrough, not an actual playthrough. So for New Vegas, for example, it would be a playthrough where you did the entire NCR storyline, the House storyline, the Caesar storyline, and the Wildcard storyline.
Yeah.
Which obviously you can't actually do in a single playthrough, but that's a way to kind of think about it.
Yeah.
Just the level of stuff you can do.
Yes.
And I'm going to start off by saying that I reckon... I'm going to go with a reckon here.
Wait, we should... Hold on. We should... Hold that thought. We should go through the list of how many Fallout games there are, just to get everybody kind of in that headspace.
Okay, we've included 9 of the Fallout games in this list. Only 9 of them, I'm afraid, everyone. So, in chronological order, they are Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout Tactics, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout Shelter, Fallout 4, and Fallout 76. We have neglected Fallout Pinball.
Yes.
And feel free to dislike the podcast if you want to protest against that. All dislikes will be assumed to be a protest that Fallout Pinball is the true Fallout game. But honestly, it would have been at the bottom of the list. Anyway, if you want to pencil it in yourself, it will be the least content rich, as it is Pinball. And that's it.
If it was included as a Pip-Boy game, oh dude, we should talk about those too. Oh man. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I interrupted.
I'm drinking.
Oh crap. Ah! There's too much dead air, Sarge.
That's what editing's for. Whenever you start talking, I just take the opportunity to have a drink.
Sometimes I don't have that much to say.
Oh no. Alright. So I am going to start off by saying that I think the classics are going to be low on the list. And by the classics, I'm specifically saying Fallout 1 and Fallout 2.
No!
I'm sorry. I don't think they're necessarily bad games. But as someone who was just playing Fallout 1 the other day, I know for a fact that there's a lot of emptiness to them. It's just a part of what they are.
It's just a fanboy going, yeah.
Yeah, the fact as well, I have something beautiful which will be in an upcoming video. I've got to include it as a clip. It's I was travelling around with Ian, and I had an encounter of a bunch of raiders, and Ian was not wearing, he was in a leather jacket or something, I think, and all the raiders were identical to him.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah, Ian's got a raider skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do think that's something about content richness, is that there's a very limited number of characters, and variations of characters, and encounters as well. Like, going from the Glow to the Brotherhood, or from the Brotherhood to the Glow and back, I encountered, rats as an encounter 3 times. There's just not that much. When you're travelling the world, it's, hey, here's a combat encounter, there are some unique things. I met the Celtic musician. That's an extra thing. But
Patrick, yes?
Yeah, but it's very much just a case of the overworld is pretty empty.
Yeah, because it's an overworld map more so for just a way of getting random encounters.
Yeah. But then even the locations, a lot of them don't have tons going on. Most of the characters have a line or two, they say. There's not a huge number of quests I find, especially compared to the more modern games.
Mm-hmm.
I describe the first 2 Fallouts as a much more focused experience. I wouldn't go so far as to call it linear, but I do think it's very much you're on this path, and while the game gives you opportunities to diverge a little bit, you're always returning to the same main path.
Yeah.
And that limits how much it can really do.
Yep. 2 is still, out of the classics, 2 is still the most content rich, I think.
I will put 2 ahead. I mean,
just generally bigger in every way.
Literally one word, cities.
Yeah.
I feel like Fallout 2 has cities. Classic Fallout has towns.
Yeah. That's actually a good way to put it. Because there's NCR, formerly Shady Sands. Shady Sands was 2 zones in the beginning. Yeah. In the first game. And
2 zones and maybe 15 people, I want to say.
Yeah, and the NCR is 4. It's at least twice the size of what Shady Sands was before it became the NCR. The Vault City is a whole bunch of zones. The new Reno was freaking huge. Yeah. And it's outlying areas too that they send you to if you do start doing quests for people, as well as San Fran. All really big places.
Yeah.
Then there's a few that are smaller that still feel chunky, like Broken Hills, which is a Unity town kind of.
Unity.
Where mutants, ghouls, and humans all coexist.
Yay!
But the quest is related to humans being murdered.
Yes. I will say on that part as well, a reason why the first couple of Fallout games kind of get away with having a lot less content volume within them is that you're going to die a lot. So you end up replaying a lot of the same stuff and progress is fairly slow because you can't it's not like the modern Fallout games where you can put it on very easy and just walk through everything first time, no problems. When you're playing the classics for the first time, or even the 100th time, you're probably going to die a lot.
Yeah.
And retread a lot of your
that's
steps.
That's a safe assumption.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I'll talk about it a little bit more in what you're playing thing, because I had quite a journey when I went back to the classic Fallout this week.
Also, I wanted to mention that collectibles, I think, are an addition to making something content rich. 4 went freaking bananas with it.
Yeah.
But
I think collectibles might put Fallout 4 in the lead. Now that you've mentioned that.
There wasn't really anything to collect except for, I don't know, the water chip in Fallout 1 that was like something that was...
You can't even call that a collectible. That's like
no,
a
it's
plot
not.
item.
It's a plot. It's a MacGuffin. But Fallout 2, you had to collect Cat's Paw magazines, which were adult magazines, and you had to collect like 10 of them for Miss Kitty in New Reno, and that was pretty much it, I think. Otherwise, it was just, weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And there were like more empowered versions, like modified versions of weapons, which were pretty cool, and armor. But those were more of a necessity for some cases. Like whatever your playthrough was, like you needed to get that version of something. Or felt like you needed to get that version of something just to be able to take on Enclave patrols. So the classic Fallout the first Fallout actually had some unique items. I made a guide on the whole 5 unique items you can get in that game. Wow. So maybe that counts as collectibles, because in Fallout 1 it's a lot more loose as to how you can defeat the master. Getting to the master.
Yeah, I think with uniques and stuff, that adds into the item diversity, which does add to the amount of content.
Yeah.
Because there is just literally more stuff for you to pick up. And even though they're not, like, collectibles per se, they are still things you collect, and even having a practical purpose gives them more of a benefit.
Yeah.
And a lot of stuff in the classics you can't really pick up. It's just a lot of emptiness, as I found when I was looting places and was like, oh, this corpse is nothing, this corpse is nothing, this corpse is nothing.
What about the inspect command, though, too? Or the inspect function for the classic games, because that could be considered that could be considered content rich. It's got the like adventure game click to look at kind of thing, and some of the descriptions of things were pretty cheeky, and I like it.
That is definitely more content, but I don't think it's gonna like shoot either game up in the rankings all that much.
But when it comes to like affecting your character and your gameplay, probably not so much. So
it's another thing to do and experience within the world, and it's definitely worth a mention. But honestly, I'm always putting it in like the same category as like note simulator games.
Yeah,
it's just like a bit of extra stuff to throw in. All right, I feel like that's enough time talking about the classic 2. We know they're going to be lowish on the list.
Yes.
But they might not be at the bottom.
They won't be at the bottom. Tactics and Brotherhood of Steel are probably at the bottom.
Okay, I was going to ask if you want to talk about them separately or just go over quickly.
Because they are separate.
Really played... I played Fallout Tactics, but...
Yeah.
You're the one who knows these games.
Fallout Tactics I actually streamed all the way through. Which was an experience. It was, and it's good for posterity's sake, just so I don't have to go back to the game all the time to be like, oh, what was this thing? Yeah. Whoops, I just hit my desk. The buildings in a lot of the maps, because it was a lot more mission focused. Like once once you're done in an area, you're done. Like, you don't have any reason whatsoever to go back there. And you had various Brotherhood bases of operations you would get as you progress through the story. So it would literally push you to a different spot on the map once you were done in one area. And you wouldn't have any reason really to go back. Working vehicles, 3, 4, I think 3. The APC, the buggy, and the tank. Those were drivable. Oh, and the Hummer. So it was 4. Yeah. So you had drivable vehicles that you could run enemies over with in real time, and all of your units that are in the vehicle can shoot out of it at the same time. That's freaking cool. That's probably never going to be done again in Fallout, and it bums me out. But overall, because of this is the closest probably to a linear Fallout game, I think. I mean, Brotherhood of Steel, obviously, but when it has an open encounter map and stuff like that, you're still moving in a singular direction, and you're going to get there kicking and screaming, basically. But what I noticed particularly in Fallout Tactics was a lot of the buildings were just empty. Like, you could tell that so much of the game was rushed. Like, even the real-time mode that was included in the game was included for testing purposes. Like, that they had to like blast through the game just to see and make sure that everything was scripted correctly. And you can tell when you're playing it, if you're paying attention to those kinds of things, like, man, these buildings sure are missing lots of stuff. Because there would be certain sequences where you're supposed to like bring a vehicle down through a town, and you're kind of zigzagging through the streets and stuff like that, through debris and whatnot, and you know, have people every so often hop out of your vehicle and search the buildings for enemies or stuff to loot, and you would find a couple of enemies but literally nothing else inside the buildings. And I ran into that multiple occasions in Fallout Tactics. So I think Tactics is probably going to be pretty low, pretty close to the bottom on content richness, but it does have an interesting story, and it should not be confused with Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, because Tactics is actually pretty well put together, especially for how rushed it feels sometimes.
I think as well it's worth pointing out that content richness on its own does not make a game good or bad.
Yeah.
This is not a discussion of, this game's the most content rich, therefore it's the best one, or this game's the least content rich, therefore it's the worst.
That should be a thing too, but then we'll know which people are actually paying attention to the conversation at this point.
They'll already have screamed at us.
They
left an hour ago, Caedo. Over an hour ago at this point.
Content rich means the best.
Yeah. You said a positive thing about this game, therefore you think it's the best ever. You said a negative thing about this game, therefore it's the worst thing in existence and you're a hater.
Yeah. That's me. Yeah. I'm a hater guy for Fallout. That's why videos.
Yes. Alright, on to a game you can actually hate on, Brotherhood of Steel.
Oh, yeah. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Okay, so like I said, Tactics gets confused with this game because Fallout Tactics' full title is Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel. You can see where the confusion lies with Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Just know that Tactics was on PC, Brotherhood of Steel was only on PlayStation 2 and Xbox. So that's the difference. This was the only, up until Fallout 3, the only Fallout game on a console. And it was around the time that Interplay was going bankrupt and was trying to make something super edgy and awesome to somehow pull themselves out of the fire. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is pretty much an action dungeon crawler trope.
You know what? I much prefer the quote where it's Fallout Brotherhood of Steel is pretty much... It's just so much better. Just sighing right pretty after.
It's like Fallout Tactics even had some one recurring character, and that's Harold, show up as a recruit. Like, you had the variety in Tactics where you could have multiple recruits who have all different specialities. Specialities. Look at me over pronouncing things. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, you had like 3 characters initially to choose from, and then 5 once you beat the game, I think.
For all the replaying you're gonna do of it.
Yeah. It had co-op, which you know is interesting, but trying to co-op
does make it a better game.
Does it?
Objectively, yes. It is the reason it is the best game. It's because of a co-op.
Well, I know you're being ironic, but there is something to be said about adding co-op to a game. You can have a different level of fun when you're playing alongside someone.
Yeah.
Which is how Kite and myself were able to tolerate getting through Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. Yeah. Like that's not
I feel
something
like more yourself. I feel like Kite was kind of dragged into it a little bit.
It took a lot of convincing, but Kite was glad that we did play through it by the end of it. That made me happy. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel has like every horrible dialogue, and it's so hard to describe like what it made me feel when I was listening to characters speak in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel.
Harold says drink Bull's energy drink.
Yeah, that's part of it. Product placement in Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, Ball's Energy was replacing Nuka-Cola. Like the soda of choice was a product placement. This is how far they fell. Not even a good one. Like at least in Death Stranding, they kind of isolate Monster Energy drink and kind of make it a mechanic of its own that makes sense. Whereas in this one, it's just like, ha, Ball's Energy drink. Drink it. It's good for you. Then again, in Death Stranding, you can down 3 of them to maximize your stamina, which is not a good idea in real life.
I decided to take a look at the Wikipedia page for Balls just on its own outside of Fallout. And the Wikipedia page has 5 bullet points at the top as a warning of this article has multiple issues. Being like, it needs verification. It relies excessively on sources too closely associated with the subject. A major contributor to this article appears to have a close connection with its subject. The article contains content but is written like an advert. They're even advertising on the Wikipedia page. It's great.
Strange. What else can be said about Fallout Brotherhood of Steel? The lighting was terrible. The boss fights became just bullet sponge fests.
I mean,
and what?
This is all extra content you're talking about. This is making it more content rich.
Yeah, is it? There were like small minigame-ish segments. I say minigame-ish because they were pretty low effort still. There was one sequence where you would play as a tiny little robot to get under some laser defenses to turn them off and stuff like that. And that was fun until it crashed, like right at the end of the sequence, and we had to do it over again. But by the end, we were pretty exhausted by Fallout Brotherhood of Steel because it was just a lot of the same. It had, some of the Fallout tropes. You could play as a ghoul. You could, even though you were conscripted into the Brotherhood of Steel as a ghoul. That's, yeah. And you could get power armor, and you could get cool power weaponry of some kind, energy weaponry. It's melting my brain talking about it. But it was from one dungeon to the next, and extremely linear, and after you beat it the first time, you wouldn't really feel the incentive to play it again, to use those characters you unlocked, one of which was the Vault Dweller that you could play as, and apparently he was a really overpowered character too. Like he had some serious skill bonuses. But yeah, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, that's gonna be down at the bottom, I think.
All right, very bottom.
Very bottom. Shouldn't talk about or complain about it too much, otherwise we won't get through the rest of this list.
let's go on to the game which is going to shoot straight up to the top. Fallout 3.
Yes.
Simply the fact it is an open world 3D game where you're walking through the map. This quite big map, I think, instantly kind of puts it above everything else in terms of just the amount of content. Because not only are there dozens of named locations with interiors that you can head into, there's the metro, which while repetitive is extensive. There's a main quest, several side quests. There's not like factions, but there are like quests for different factions, such as like Tenpenny, Riley's Rangers, Rivet City, that kind of stuff. I mean, Rivet City just on its own is like a big location with a bunch of different quests tied to it. There's a ton of different weapons, there's then uniques for the weapons, there's DLC, which adds in just tons more of everything already listed.
This was around the time things were still called expansions.
Yeah, I don't think I even need to talk about it. Fallout 3 is instantly more content rich than the 4 previous games.
Yes.
Just due to its medium above all else.
I will begrudgingly agree.
Yeah. However, it then puts us into the category of looking at those open world 3D games, and I think we can now debate on which game has more content, Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas. Which will be placing higher in terms of content, the amount of content within the game.
Well, New Vegas has uniques and probably more uniques than
I do think it has a
Fallout
few
3.
more uniques than 3. I don't think it's that many more. I do think it is more, though, specifically for the Gunrunner's Arsenal.
Yeah. I think it was actually noticeably more.
I think base game was a little bit less, and Gunrunner's Arsenal obviously added in a ton more, which pushes it over. But I feel like before that, Fallout 3 may have had, if not more, close to the same amount.
Well,
but then there was literally a DLC that just throws in a ton of them.
Yeah, to Fallout 3's advantage of having actual random encounters that New Vegas doesn't really have.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed. I didn't remember that part. Throw it in. Yeah, Fallout 3, the random encounter deck. I don't know how many different random encounters there are, but each one of them is another bit of content that is very cool. Just straight out. It means that the last time I played Fallout 3, I got the Fire Lance straight away. Yeah. Which was so cool. And then I don't think I used it till the end of the game.
Yeah,
I don't even know if I used it, actually. I was like, gotta save the ammo for this.
Saving it.
Got it off my first proper fight.
Not using it.
Yep.
Get it out for those emergency moments.
Yeah. And by which point I had like a Tesla can and a fat man. All of that stuff. I was like, "Fool, better not use a fire lance yet. Let's just mini nuke them instead. Saves on ammo."
It's more expensive.
No. And back to the point though. Yeah, I do think Vegas has it in terms of weapons and probably armor, I assume. Like, I feel like both 3 and New Vegas don't have a ton of armor options, but I guess New Vegas has more.
Yeah, because they have like kind of modified versions to like the NCR unpowered power armor outfits, whatever they're called.
And there's multiple sets of like just standard NCR armor, then NCR bandolier armor.
Yeah.
There's New Vegas does variations quite well. Oh, and ammo types.
That's
true. It's got multiple different ammo types, which adds in a bunch more stuff to it.
A whole new mechanic.
Yeah.
And more in-depth crafting, for that matter.
Yeah.
Because the most 3 had was the quote-unquote custom weapons. They're not custom. They're just crafted by schematic.
Yeah, crafted weapons.
There's like 5.
Yep.
Or 6. And that's it.
New Vegas does have making food, which isn't particularly great, and making ammo, which is quite time-consuming.
And explosives and healing items.
honestly, I think the explosives are the best thing that you can make with the crafting. Everything else, I will ignore 99% of the time I play New Vegas. Yeah. But explosives, it feels worthwhile to actually gather resources for that.
Mm-hmm. It's that everything in New Vegas has, or nearly everything in New Vegas has a use.
Yeah, a very specific use.
Yes. Whereas Fallout 3, like, it's only a select few things. The rest is just junk.
I feel like it's literally like 10 items that you're supposed to pick up for the things, because there's a couple shared or whatever.
It's before you had a junk tab too in Fallout 3. Like, it was all in miscellaneous. Oh.
Yep.
Oh, that's the worst.
Okay. 3 versus New Vegas on the number of locations.
Number of locations. I still think 3 had more. Like, quite a few more locations.
Okay, I was leaning into feeling like 3 had more, but I wasn't confident. I think both 3 and New Vegas have a thing where they've got... Yeah, we probably can, actually. I feel like I'm going to let you Google it and talk while you're doing that by saying that I feel like 3 and New Vegas both had very dense areas on their map. For Fallout 3, it was the whole kind of metro area, kind of the southeast corner of the map, just in its entirety, with the metro and all of the locations there, and even Rivet City and all around that area. Just tons of locations, and then everywhere else was a fair bit more spread out. And for New Vegas, it was obviously Vegas itself, having this really big dense area with tons of locations. Then everywhere else was pretty spread out. I feel like both of them did that to some extent, which makes it difficult to judge from memory just which one had more locations. Because when you're walking around New Vegas, there's dozens of places to go. But when you're in the Fallout 3 metro tunnels, there's dozens of places you can go from there.
It's harder to get a definitive number than I thought.
I had a feeling it might not be too simple.
Because it was just like, there are 737 total named locations in Fallout New Vegas and accompanying add-ons. In the base game, there are 544 named locations.
Okay. And for Fallout 3?
But it says, including 190 marked, 253 unmarked, 2 Wild Wasteland, 67 mentioned only, and 32 cut/unused.
Okay, mentioned only.
Total named locations in Fallout New Vegas and accompanying add-ons, and then they completely subvert that with cut content. And
name location, only. As in someone mentioned the name of the location.
It's 100 of those aren't in the game. Art locations you can go to. It's so stupid. A fan wrote this. I know it. Okay, so Fallout 3, I'm only finding 163 marked locations, but
that's before the DLC.
Before the DLC, yeah. So they might actually be close to each other in amount, but even the New Vegas one was counting all of the like unmarked locations. I'm thinking more along the lines of the importance of marked ones.
Yeah, Fallout 3 is actually doing marked ones, which is like 225, 255? Which did it say? 225 marked locations in Fallout 3. But in New Vegas, they mention Shady Sands as existing, so I guess we have to count that. And because they mentioned Shady Sands, I guess we count the entirety of Fallout 1. God. Whoever wrote the wiki page for the Fallout New Vegas locations, what were you doing?
190 marked in New Vegas.
But then it would be Fallout 3 having more. Is that including the DLC? Let's check this, man.
These are both without DLC, I think.
No.
In the base game, there are 544 named locations.
Alright, there are more locations in New Vegas when you include the DLC. Like, pre-DLC, it is 163 for Fallout 3 and 190 for New Vegas. Then the add-ons for New Vegas adds an extra 193, so technically more locations, because it's a more densely packed area as you go through. And for Fallout 3, they add in 62 locations. So New Vegas does have more locations. And I'm guessing a huge part of that comes from dead money and how half the buildings you go into are locations.
Yeah. Yeah.
So technically, New Vegas is getting it. I think we spent enough time on that one.
Yeah, we kind of did.
You know what? I think New Vegas is more content rich than Fallout 3.
Because we didn't even talk about the factions.
Yeah, I'm going to put a large part of it to the factions and multiple main story quest lines. Like, Fallout 3 is going to now be in second place. All those different quests you can do pushes it ahead.
Yep.
But I'm sure it'll be knocked out of the water by Fallout Shelter.
How much do we need to talk about this game?
Is it at the bottom? I mean, there are quests in Fallout Shelter. There's a decent number of quests. There's all these different rooms. You get different settlers. You can drag them out to kind of explore a text-based open world. There's a fair few different items. There is content to the game. I feel like it's below Fallout 1 and Fallout 2.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I feel like we can put that. Do we put it above Tactics? Do we put it above Brotherhood of Steel? Or is it right down at the bottom?
I feel like, I mean, we'll get to this in 76 as well. I feel like sometimes it's cheating because of monetized content being included, like microtransaction monetization being included.
I feel like monetized content we can count, but kind of keep it as just like, oh, and also you can buy extra stuff. And also, okay. Yeah, as opposed to being like, oh, well, you can buy a stim pack, so that's an entire entry. Oh, you can buy a lunchbox, that's an entire entry. No. Just do like the plus microtransactions as one extra part of content richness. Like, not enough to push it up high, but in the event of a tiebreak.
I think Shelter has the biggest crossovers, too. Because of the different dwellers that you can get.
Yeah, there's a lot of name dwellers as well from the different games. So that as well as the generic kind of things.
Yeah, because you can get characters from Fallout 3. You can get characters from Fallout 4. Is that it?
I think it's just from Fallout 3.
I think that's it.
There might be more. Let's be honest, neither of us are playing this game very often.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking it up.
Yeah, we're going a fair bit on memory. But it does have stuff going for it.
It has stuff, yes. It has stuff to get and stuff to do.
Yeah, I'll say the quest lines as well are actual quest lines. There's like actual story and stuff to them. It's got progression.
See, I didn't even know about that.
Oh yeah, I've played the quest lines. Back when I was in retail, they were actually like a fun thing for me to do when I had a lot of time before work.
Oh.
I just like go through a quest, and it was cool because you'd like go to a location, find out if someone's a raider and who's betraying you, and all of this stuff. But genuinely, the quests have stuff. I think there's some seasonal events looking at it as well. You know what? I think it's definitely not at the bottom.
No.
And I'd say it might well be above Tactics.
It has, yes, because it has some level of customization.
Yeah.
But it also has an optimal way to play, like a very clear optimal way to play.
It's not a complex game, but it has got a lot of stuff in it.
Yes.
Which is what we're judging here.
Yes. So, how much stuff can you do?
I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we can put it above Fallout 1 and Fallout 2. Is it above?
Okay, so we'll put numbers here. 7 spot?
Yeah, it's do we count it as hold up, you've done this wrong,
6,
Caedo.
5. Bam.
Okay. So we're saying that Fallout Shelter goes between Fallout 2 and Tactics. Got more content than Tactics and Brotherhood of Steel, but not quite as much as Fallout 1 and Fallout 2, although you've put those the wrong way around. Yeah, it's just below the original Fallout in terms of actual amount of content.
Yes.
However, I honestly do think it's quite close.
This listing is actually getting really confusing, so I'm gonna make a new list.
I mean, I don't know if we can do it, but I was going to suggest just I can't. It's not like Microsoft Word or OpenOffice where you can just change the bullet points, where you can just put them in an order. You go ahead and make that list.
Okay, I'm doing it. I even started with 10, even though there's 9.
You did. Put
Pinball would be
Pinball at 10. Yeah.
Okay,
Put Fallout
so
Pinball.
Fallout BOS. Oh, okay. Fallout 3, then Fallout New Vegas.
Alright.
Puts New Vegas above 3. Okay.
It's New Vegas above 3.
Okay, now we've got the last two. My God,
Yes.
that took so long.
We got to talk about Fallout 4 now,
Yes.
which has so much content.
Too much content.
Well, I'm guessing by the too much content you're talking about like Radiant quests and stuff.
Not just
Quite a
that.
Okay. Well, it's got Radiant quests, it's got like a story which splits into 4 main stories. And there's a lot of there's side quests for each of the factions.
Yeah.
There's then like minor factions. There's settlements. There's companions who then have some of their own stories. There's quite a wide array of weapons, armor, and then mods for both of those things.
Just the crafting and scrapping in general.
Yep, junk in general. So many junk items.
And did you already mention the settlement system? Like the whole building?
Yeah, I mentioned settlements
stuff.
just as one word, but yeah.
Sorry.
Building up settlements, defending settlements, settlement happiness, all of that stuff.
Outfitting your settlers, companions and their affinity.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about companions in the other games.
No, we didn't mention it. But I think the rating stays the same.
Yeah.
With Fallout 4 as well, the DLCs are big.
Yes.
Like,
very.
particularly Nuka World and Far Harbor.
The proper expansions we're talking about, I'm sure.
Yeah.
People,
I mean,
people
those
get that
two,
far.
I think, stand out. Because even, like, Automatron is, like, a proper expansion, but it only added in a few extra locations. And robots.
Yeah.
Which is very cool, but not a ton of stuff added. Just some very cool stuff added.
Turn Codsworth into a murder bot.
Yeah. Whereas Nuka World obviously gives you the entire storyline, a theme park to go around, bunch of side quests, multiple factions, and a new mechanic to bring back to the Commonwealth.
Yeah. They leaned in really hard to the workshop content too.
Yeah. I mean, all the workshop DLCs is a bunch of extra content as well.
Just that's what I'm saying. Like they a good chunk of the DLCs were for the settlement building system specifically.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
It's ridiculous. I mean, I think we can easily say Fallout 4 has more content than all of the previous games we've talked about.
Yes.
And the only one we actually need to compare it to is Fallout 76.
Yes.
Which game has more content to it?
Well, while you can collect bobbleheads and magazines in 76 as well, they don't have a guaranteed location, and they're also one-time use.
I think it's not so much guaranteed location and one-time use as it is that Fallout 76 has a bunch of different magazines, but it's only got the special bobbleheads. Fallout 4 has skill-based bobbleheads as well, and I feel like probably a similar number of magazines to 76.
Wait, no, 76 has all the bobbleheads. It has all.
It does?
Yeah, all 20.
I didn't think it did.
They do different things.
Fallout 4 had
it's
more.
the same bobblehead stand.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm wrong about one. I didn't realise. Man, I completely missed that.
Haven't you been to my camp?
Not in a while. Okay, in which case, I think Fallout... I'd put them about even on that. Because I think the randomness of the location and the time duration doesn't actually change it because you can collect multiple of them. Whereas in Fallout 4, it's one set permanent thing, and I feel like it balances out the amount of content.
Okay.
Because they change from collectibles to consumables, but they replenish, so I'm gonna... I say for simplicity's sake, let's just even it out like that. The size of map / number of locations... I feel like 76 wins on that.
76's map is huge.
It's a bigger map. You've got all these distinct biomes, and there's a lot of locations, especially now that we've had a bunch of expansions.
Yeah.
It's a bigger world, just straight up.
And 76, I hate saying this in particular, that it may incentivize due to junk limitation going to locations again, whereas Fallout 4, because there isn't a junk limitation, you wouldn't have too terribly much reason to go to specific locations, and you have pre-established settlements as well as merchants you can purchase materials from.
I mean, you can purchase materials from in 76 as well.
Yes, some, but do you want to?
This isn't a question of what do you want to do, this is a question of the amount of content.
Okay.
That's our basis of this.
Fallout 4 still has more NPCs currently.
Yes, Fallout 4 I think has more interactable NPCs, I'll say.
Yeah.
Let's specify that. Although it's not that big of a divide, I feel, at this point. Fallout 4's still in the lead, and it's a strong lead,
For
but
now.
76 can be seen over its shoulder.
Yeah.
It's not trailblazed ahead. It's like, 76 is... I mean, it's gaining. It doesn't look like it's actually going to win the race, but it's getting up there. It'll be a commendable loss.
Yeah.
If this was a foot race, which
And
is the
Fallout-
metaphor I've decided to go for.
This is where it gets into, while content richness, whether content richness is a good thing or not, because 76 has a ridiculous amount of weapons and armor,
Yeah.
but there's a clear best. And once you get that best, everything else does not matter at all.
Yeah, if we're talking about the number of items, I mentioned it earlier, how there are hundreds of thousands of different items in terms of weapons and armor, due to the legendary system and the multiple star ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And those are all bits of added content. I hate them.
I feel like the legendary system in particular, because we both have such an issue with it, is that it's like it's not even really legitimate content because it's still just generated.
You know what? I think we can put it in the same kind of category as
Radiant
Quest.
Yeah.
Where it's just a repeatable thing.
We can count it once, like the base item, but that's it.
I'd almost count it as like the same thing as each item having a unique variant. I'd almost count it in the same as that. Whereas it's not actually unique, but it is variations upon the item.
Yeah.
But then I think that does give 76 a slight advantage for the few uniques, like actual uniques it does have.
Yeah.
So I think
Fallout 4 still has a few, but it also, kind of goes hard on naming legendaries instead.
Yeah.
Which are not uniques. I don't care who you are listening. If Fallout 4 puts a legendary effect on a weapon that already exists, doesn't make it look any different, and just calls it something else, it's not a unique. Just because it has a name
legendary
doesn't make it unique.
Okay. I think one easy one where Fallout 4 wins is when it comes to just baseline quests.
Yeah.
76 does actually have quite a few. And I'm sure people who don't play 76 will be surprised at how many quests there actually are within the game. But Fallout 4 still wins out. Yeah. Well, there's multiple main quests and dozens of side quests, I want to say. And then there's repeatables, like events. I feel like you only count events once per event kind of thing. But I think they'd still go into kind of the same kind of category as quests. Which adds to more of the stuff that you can do in 76. 76 is daily ops now, which is an entire thing.
Yeah.
Would you count challenges?
As
content in and of itself?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
Because then it's going into the MMO style of like repetitive content just for the sake of keeping players engaged.
Yeah.
Which
okay, let's do it as a rule of if you're just repeating the same action, it doesn't count. And all that the challenges get you to do is repeat an action that you are already doing, as opposed to giving you something new to do, even in the smallest way.
Yeah. So we can include the daily ops themselves as like an
extra bit of content, substantial one
in a similar realm to Radiant Quests, but a little bit more short-term fun.
But we can't count.
But not the
challenges telling you to do daily
stuff
ops as that
kind of thing.
I mean, you know what? I think we can count the scoreboard as just like one extra bonus thing in and of itself. But I don't think we can count like all 100 ranks. It's like the scoreboard adds in new content, which is just unlockables. But it's only the scoreboard itself I think we count, as opposed to being like, oh, well, here's a dog, here's an icon, here's this one individual thing. I don't think we count it one at a time. We just count it one big thing.
Stupid keychain that's still somehow being added to the scoreboard. There's no... Find me somebody who likes the danglies on their freaking backpacks. Find me someone.
Honestly, I think I'm one of probably the most positive people towards them, and my opinion's pretty neutral. It's like, oh, that's kind of nice, and I'm over it.
Stop moving so I can look at your back. How many players can you just have stop moving for you to look at their freaking keychain?
No one. No one
will stop moving. That's not how games like this work.
I think we just need to come to a decision now.
Oh.
Which game has more content in it, Fallout 4 or Fallout 76? I think for this one we're just going to have to go with our gut, because breaking it down, I think we're just getting further away from an answer.
I was going to say Fallout 4.
I was going to say 76.
Well,
that's not good.
That puts us in the middle. That puts them even.
God. I feel like 76 may actually have more content overall, with like multiple currencies, plans, extra modding options, still a surprisingly decent number of NPCs and quests and stuff.
I agree, because you're probably right, and it's my bias saying, Fallout 4 is still primarily a more fun game to me, but
yes,
76 does have more content regardless of the quality of that content.
Yes, 76 is a more content-rich game and is arguably worse because of it. Because it is very basic content, just designed to give you more stuff to do rather than a better experience. So we are going to put Fallout 4 as number 2 and Fallout 76 as number 1 and see how many people get angry about us saying that 76 is the most content-rich game, even as we say that's a bad thing. Even
listening to the context of like, yeah, content-rich, but not all the content's good.
Yeah. It has more stuff in it. The stuff just isn't as well crafted.
There's some that is good. There's some that is not.
I feel like this list, oh my god, our list, so our order, in 9th place, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel. 8th place, Fallout Tactics. 7th place, Fallout Shelter. 6th, the original Fallout. Then Fallout 2 in 5th place. 4th place, Fallout 3. 3rd place, Fallout New Vegas. 2nd place, Fallout 4. 1st place, Fallout 76. It's not exactly, but it's very close to just, as time has gone on, the games have got more content.
Strange.
It's almost like there's a trend here. And it's it's a bit unusual how we have like 3 games which in the wiki come under the other games category. And then we literally have the games in chronological order in terms of the main games and mainline spin-offs.
Yeah, and this wasn't particularly planned. Like, we were working through it as we were talking about it.
Yeah.
I even had to write a separate list just to work my brain right.
I do.
Yeah, that's makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. As the franchise has gone on, we've just continued to have more and more content thrown in there. And that's not a sign of things getting better, but it's also not a sign of things getting worse.
Yeah.
I do feel like
That's the most neutral answer you can give, Sarge.
Yeah. Between kind of Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas, so Fallout 2, Fallout 3, and Fallout New Vegas, I feel like we were still in a sweet spot where the content that was being added was a lot more deliberate. There was some starting to be like just generic stuff and just extra content for the sake of there being more time thrown in.
Yeah.
But very much when we get to 4 and 76, those are both games designed to like keep you playing in the world and keep repeating kind of a cycle. Therefore, a lot of base level content was just thrown in for the extra time rating.
I wanted to say, what did we decide on challenges for 76?
That they don't really count.
They don't really count?
Okay. Yeah, they're making you redo something.
But what about the New Vegas ones?
I don't think they really count as well. I think you can count, like the smacking Mr. House with a golf club. I feel like that kind of thing is a minor bit of extra content, but I don't think it's enough to really change ratings at all.
Because I was wondering, I was thinking about it, and there's the New Vegas challenges that actually reward you with perks.
Yeah, those ones like are actual extra content that's been added in.
Okay.
But it's a very minor bit of extra content.
Because the rest are just experience.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I'm happy with others.
Yeah, 76 has, well, Fallout 4 also. They both have infinite levels, so.
Yeah. But
also,
there is like kind of soft cap and hard.
The caveat on that thing is like, you can just keep playing the same character.
Yeah.
Basically indefinitely. And in Fallout 4, you can eventually max out all your attributes, but I think you can only do that in 76 at this point if you fill up all of your legendary perk slots with the legendary perk cards, and even then you may not be able to.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, but
the attribute max is also 15, so
yeah.
Don't know why they keep raising that. This is the first game that raised it to 15. The hard cap.
They just needed to because of the way they designed the other stuff.
Or the hard cap? Yeah. Hard cap. The soft cap is like 32.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Well, I think we have definitively proven which Fallout games are the most content rich, and this will create unneeded backlash for people, I'm sure, arguing against a point we are not making.
Yes.
And I look forward to it. And we've got to hope for it for that extra engagement.
We'll grab one for the comment of the cast and see what happens.
We have been recording for over 2 hours now, so I think it's perfect time to wrap things up by asking you, Caedo, what you've been playing and working on.
Kenshi, again, your turn.
Yes, that's literally all Caedo has been doing. Caedo has been playing Kenshi for a ridiculous number of hours.
I'll tell you, it's greater than 100.
Yes, in like 2 weeks. It has been full days of Kenshi and nothing else.
Yep.
I'm honest. Do you have Kenshi open right now?
No, I don't.
Okay, I was about to say I'm honestly surprised you've turned off Kenshi to record the BIPCAST, and then remembered I have to ask you first to check that you weren't still playing Kenshi while recording. Okay. Yeah, Caedo's been playing tons of Kenshi. There will be a video out within the next few months.
We should say D&D as well.
We'll show it off. Yeah, we've been playing D&D, and if you travel back in time, then you can listen to the most recent episode live.
Yes.
Because every Saturday night, there's some D&D.
Yep. And it's on Jared's channel, our co-host, who's MIA currently.
Probably sleeping before
D&D. On his Twitch channel, which is probably listed in the description. If you follow him, you'll see when we're playing D&D on Saturday nights.
Yeah. He also has been uploading the VODs on YouTube.
Yes.
So you can catch up.
That as well. Yeah, because if you miss it and see the VOD on Twitch, like it's an ad every 5 minutes or something like that. Like I would just wait until it's uploaded on Jared's channel on YouTube, because holy crap, trying to watch a D&D campaign with ads every 5 minutes is a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I've been doing. What have you been playing, Sarge?
Yep. Well, I've been playing some Fallout 4 and classic Fallout for a video I'm working on, all about sound. That's the teaser I'll give for the people who hopefully will watch and listen to it once it's finally out, which hopefully will be before the next episode of the PIPCAST.
Are you going to add the Caedo out of context agreeing with you?
I don't know if I'm going to add that or not.
Okay.
I might just reference it slightly. I got Caedo to listen to, like, a change I made to Fallout 4, just to get him to agree with me, basically. Because I knew I was right, I just needed someone to say it. It's the kind of person I am. I agree.
Sarge needs validation.
Yes, so much of it. I also played some classic Fallout, because I needed to for this video to prove that I was right, and so that no one could tell me I was wrong. So I booted up, like, the Fallout save I did, and I'd, like, just got Ian, just kind of discovered Brotherhood. I was, like, a little bit away through the game, but really not much. I think I was wearing, like, leather armor, and that was, like, the best thing I got. That was so good. So then I decided I needed to go to the Brotherhood, go to the Glow, pick up the item from the Dead Brotherhood soldier, and then go back to the Brotherhood. So I did that in just one attempt, while quite low level, with no Radix or anything with me, super underprepared.
What?
And all that it cost me was Ian's life.
How did Ian die? What?
He got surrounded by 6 raiders who all punched and shot him repeatedly for like 5 turns as I slowly like walked out of the area to escape.
So, is your character still irradiated?
I mean, I didn't even save. This was just the footage I needed it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I got irradiated. I found like Radaway while I was in the Glow and just instantly used it, picked up the item, left, and went back to the Brotherhood.
Okay.
And I was constantly just walking away from enemies, and I think I had like 6 action points, which seemed to be just enough to outrun enemies. But they were always like getting next to me and then not having enough of their own action points to attack.
Yeah, it might have worked, that technique that you used. It's very risky.
Yeah, I mean, it did work.
Yeah.
It definitively did work, and all it cost me was the life of my only friend.
It did up until a point, but if you were still irradiated, you might still die eventually of radiation
Oh
poisoning.
yeah, there were multiple times where my encounter was you're hemorrhaging and your hair is falling out. But I made it! I made it all the way back.
Just if you try to play longer, you might spontaneously die.
Yeah, there's a reason why I didn't overwrite the save, I made a new one instead. But yeah, I did that. It was kind of fun. It does remind me, though, that I'm definitely not cut out to play the classics. They are not my kind of game.
That's okay.
Which is a shame, but yeah. That's what I've been doing. All for the purposes of a video which I'm not going to reveal yet.
Yes. That's
Anyway.
super teasing the next thing. I hope
teased it on my
it does
Twitter.
well.
I really hope it does well. Alright. That was a podcast.
Yep. That was a podcast. Thank you to my Wasteland legend, Sven, for supporting the channel. I'll say 6 as well. 6 is a Wasteland legend for another like couple days.
There we go.
And if you want to check out Sarge's channel, it's linked down below. You know where I am. And that's it. Have a safe rest of the next 2 weeks, and we'll see you that following Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific. Goodbye.